What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Ranger Central, and I'm just confused. I am just confused. So I wake up this morning to read the Larry Brooks article that came out last night, and it was, yeah, Mikey D. Mikey D in the comments brought it up, and I decided to check it out this morning about how the New York Rangers are supposedly heavily interested in Elias Lindholm. I just have a lot of questions. But before we jump into everything, please be sure to leave a like if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you guys are new, especially if you're Ranger fans, and turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live. But let's get into this. Let's go over the article. I'm going to leave the link in the description to the full article because I'm going to skim through parts of this. I'm not going to read the entire thing. But this is Larry Brooks of the New York Post. Thank you again for unblocking me on Twitter, Brooksy. But he starts off by mentioning just that the Rangers in their last few games, they are 12-12-2. That to suggest that this team is a third line center away from the cup, unless, as the old joke goes, a 30-year-old Mark Messier is able to fill that role. I mean, yeah, I can't disagree. And he brought it up later on, too, a little after in the article, after he mentions Phil Hedl being out, and it sucks. But there was also the mention that, is this the year to go all in at the deadline? Is this really a cup or bust season for the Rangers? And I agree with what he was saying, that this team is lacking too many playoff necessities to sacrifice a future that could arrive as soon as next season after summer renovation. I agree with them that a 7-2 win against the Ottawa Senators did not change my viewpoint. A 5-2 win against the Ducks did not change my viewpoint. This team has glaring issues. Team has a lot of holes, and I get that people are going to say in the comments they're in first, but at the same time, come playoff time, Carolina could be a red hot goalie away from going on a run because they are good around their goaltender, just they cannot get a save right now. For all we know, Philadelphia, with the way that they play, they could be a playoff type team. With the way that, you know, Toronto plays, I'm not sure how. I think Toronto would outmatch the Rangers because neither team, I think, is good defensively or in goal, at least as of right now, but Toronto has that firepower up front to outscore all of their problems. And then you look at Tampa, that matchup, I think, could maybe go either way. I think the Rangers could beat Detroit. Florida and Boston, they'd have no chance against, in my opinion. I don't think they could beat either of those teams. But the point still stands. If you can't beat even just Florida or Boston, like, I think even adding at the deadline doesn't put you ahead of those teams. So what's the point of going all out and, you know, giving up prime assets, if you will, to really, really push for this season when I still don't think, because Florida's still going to make moves, Boston's still going to make moves, and those teams are just miles ahead still, in my opinion. To me, I need to see changes within the core and in terms of just play on the ice, because they're not going to be able to make core changes in the middle of the season. They got to be able to do this from within, and we need to start seeing changes in terms of on-ice play as soon as the All-Star break ends, going into the deadline, for me to have any faith that this team could be any different. Will that be the case? Time will tell. But to go on with the article, he was saying, but sources have indicated that is not the view from the executive suite. Indeed, we are told that hierarchy that includes Chairman Jim Dolan and President General Manager Chris Drury, his intentions of diving into the deep end of the pool as March 8 approaches. So they are going to go all in. They are going to go all in at this point. And what we've heard from, you know, Larry Brooks, he was mentioning before that they might be conservative buyers. I think that's more him just wanting them to be conservative buyers. And I couldn't agree more with Brooksy. I couldn't agree more with Brooksy. And he's right, like, for the reasons I mentioned. But let's continue to talk about the, just go into the article. But later, he just mentions about how, just talking about the Rangers, how, you know, it's been a 30-year-old drought now. And then he said, we're told that Calgary's pending free agent center, Elias Lindholm, is at the top of the Blue Shirts wish list, and indeed has been even before Hedl was ruled out for the year. His name, according to a well-placed individual, has been at forefront of internal discussions, kind of the way Patrick Kane was last year, and even after the Rangers jumped into the market to get Vladimir Tarasenko nearly a month ahead of the deadline. Lindholm, a 29-year-old Swede, is a top 6 guy who would be playing down in the Rangers lineup, but would give the club impressive depth down the middle. He is not bruising. He's not the bruising checking center that I'd create for the Rangers if the league would give me an AI tool for that purpose, but he is a substantial player who would improve the team at 5-on-5. I still have my worries with Elias Lindholm. Like, I don't know. To me, well, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going before I give like my full thoughts. But Lindholm, whom the Flames may still try to keep with another offer on a contract extension, is expected to be the prize deadline rental property. Calgary surely will conduct a bidding war that will likely yield a first rounder plus at least one legitimate prospect and perhaps a young NHL ready player. Who could that be? Who could that be? To jump further in, it could take the first rounder and say Kakko, or maybe the Flames would prefer Will Cooley or Brennan Othmann. Maybe they'd want a second rounder in addition, and though the Rangers could accommodate Lindholm's $4.85 million cap hit, doing so would leave little to address other weaknesses, so the cost would be even higher in order to get Calgary to retain 40 or 50% of the contract for rental, but an overpay for Lindholm, which by definition they would be obligated to do in order to obtain the veteran player. By the way, is 32, 41 in 49 games played. That is 9 goals, 32 assists, 41 points, by the way, with 2 goals in his last 25 games play. And welcome to the party would be a historically Ranger-ish move. That is the perfect way of putting it, Brooksy. This would be a Ranger-ish move, and I am not for it. I am not for Elias Lindholm, and I know I've voiced my opinion in the past that I'd be okay with him. He has cooled off significantly since, number one. Number two, the asking price is out of this world for a guy like Elias Lindholm, and it doesn't make sense. He's not staying beyond this year. He's just not. And I know people are going to say, well, they could keep him. Realistically, he wants north of $8.5 million. There's just not a chance the Rangers are going to be able to pay Mika Zibanejad, Vinny Trocheck, Philip Hedl, and Elias Lindholm all down the middle that much money. If Philip Hedl is done and he has his concussions and he retires, that's a different story. Maybe the Rangers could fit him in because realistically, then that 4.5 pretty much that Philip Hedl's on, you're pretty much paying just another 4.5 for Elias Lindholm. Then it's a different story, but even then, I just don't think it's realistic that Elias Lindholm would stay with the club, and I don't think this move would make sense at all. Why should the Rangers go overpay and overboard for a guy that's going to play third line center minutes? It does not make a lick of sense to me. And I get that he could help the 5v5 play, but you look at the advanced metrics, they tell you he's so bad at 5v5 even this year, and that it tells you that he's just not a good player right now. He's in the 4th percentile according to Evolving Hockey for his offense. He's in the 40th for defense. What are we talking about here? And his goals above replacement is higher than his expected goals above replacement right now this season. That's concerning considering the fact he only has 9 goals on the season. And this is a guy that's supposed to improve the 5v5 offense. I don't see it. And we know his numbers are going to come back down to earth playing a third line role with the Rangers. So why does this make sense? I don't get it. And then you look at the all 3 zones model. His shots per 60 is the only thing in the positive in terms of his general offense. His passing, yeah, his passing is good. He has some good assists. But who is he passing to on that third line? Will Cooley, I love the guy, but he's not going to put up goals at will. Is Blake Wheeler going down on that third line? He's not going to, because Kaapo Kakko would probably be in the deal. And if Kaapo Kakko is in the deal going out the other way, then, and they don't get another right winger because they don't have the cap space or they don't have more assets to do so, then who's playing there? It's going to be Johnny Brzezinski. Is it going to be Barclay Goodrow, Jimmy Vesey? That line does not intrigue me at all. His cycle offense is in the positives. His shots off high nature passes in the positives, and his one-timers in the positive. So to me, this pretty much reeks of just a Mika Zibanejad, like a poor man's Mika Zibanejad, who's been underperforming this year. And I just don't see it. Like, his defensive metrics aren't bad on the all 3 zones model. It's actually like somewhat like very passable compared to what we're getting, but from the evolving hockey model. But from the eye test, even, I just don't see it with Elias Lindholm in terms of getting him to play the 3C. Why go out and give prime assets for a third line center when this team is starving for top six help at the right wing position? They are starving still for bottom six help throughout the lineup. They could use another defenseman. I would much rather them give prime assets for a defenseman, honestly. And like, even if it's replacing Gustafsson in the lineup, say you go out and, give up prime assets to really bolster the defense, then you could shelter Lindgren's minutes, shelter Miller's minutes on the left side, and all of a sudden that defense has some length to it in the lineup. Why go out and give up the assets like this to go get a third line center? I again ask why. I don't understand what is so intriguing about Elias Lindholm to this organization outside of the name. And the metrics too have not been in Elias Lindholm's favor for years now. Like, last year it wasn't terrible, his metrics. He was passable offensively. He was in the all three zones model, he was very good offensively. Do the Rangers see him coming here and being a bigger impact and getting back to the level he's been at in previous years? I don't know. Maybe that's the case. But at the same time, this is another thing where it's like, they're banking on what could be. Do they imagine him playing the top line right wing role? If so, that makes more sense, but cool. Then you have to still go out and get more third line help. You still have to go out and get fourth line help. So that really doesn't solve anything. And again, like, I just don't see him coming in as a right winger, even being a play driver. This team needs a play driving right winger, and they need goal scoring on that top line right wing position. And a guy who has 5 or 2 goals his last 25 games is not the solution, in my opinion, to the problem here. It's just not the solution to the problem. I ask why. I don't understand why. And, I get it. He's been a 20 goal scorer in the past, previously, consistently. So there is some goal scoring there. If he's playing the right wing, maybe that helps his goal scoring. I just don't know. And he has a 40 goal season to him. But again, so does Mika Zibanejad. To me, there's really no difference. And do you want to move him out of the center position? Because the guy's a 50% faceoff guy, unless, they have him take the faceoffs and then deploy him as a right winger in the defensive zone, and Zibanejad's deployed as the center in the defensive zone. I'm not sure what they do in that case. But again, it just does not... It just doesn't make sense to me, because there's so many other options out there that are going to be way less cost effective. Like, to me, I'd rather see the Rangers go out and give up assets to get Jordan Eberle, because he's going to cost less. And on top of that, he adds goal scoring to the right wing. He's, a really good player as well. He's just not getting help really from his line mates there over in Seattle. And he's not going to cost as much, like I mentioned, because Seattle's going to sell, and he's not really towards the top of the trade boards in terms of names, because for whatever reason, Elias Lindholm is towards it. I guess because he does play a premium position. But I'd rather them go out and get Jordan Eberle, go out and trade for a guy like Nick Dowd as the 3C or even the 4C, and then go out and get a different 3C like an Adam Henrique even. And I'm very against Adam Henrique. I'm not someone that's been for that. But to me, I would rather them give up all the assets in the world, because it would still be less assets if they went out and got Eberle, Dowd, and Adam Henrique versus getting Elias Lindholm and then, say, another third line player and a fourth line player. It would be less assets. I'd rather see them go out and do that personally. What do I know, though? What do I know? And it's out of my control. And it's just, I'm getting now the vibe that this is what it's going to be. And I know that I said that with Sean Monahan recently, but we know how the Rangers operate. When there is a top guy on the market, and when they are desperate for that top guy on the market, they are really going to press to get it done. And, we saw it with Patrick Kane last year. They were determined no matter what to get Patrick Kane last year, and they moved heaven and earth for the guy. They played shorthanded games for the guy. I would not be surprised if they go out and ended up landing Elias Lindholm. and it's probably going to be a package we don't like. If it's a first and Kako, I don't, even then, like, I don't like it. I don't like it. And then especially if it's a first Kako and another prospect. Oh boy. Oh boy. But that's really all my thoughts. I know I rambled and ranted, but I'm just aggravated with this organization doing moves like this time in and time out, where they just continue to do the same. They continue to make the same mistakes, and they continue to think, oh yeah, this is the answer, when it's just the same thing over and over again. Like, when is this organization going to learn from their mistakes and actually get guys that are going to fit the void and fill the void the right way, versus getting names just to get names? At least the last year, when they went for the names to get the names, don't get me wrong, they shouldn't have got both Tarasenko and Kane. It did not make sense to get two of pretty much similar style players, but at least it made sense to get a top line right winger because they needed it. So getting Tarasenko made sense, or getting Patrick Kane made sense, but they still needed someone that fit more of a third line role, more like an Ivan Barbashev, or I'm trying to think of who else went at the deadline, but that's my point. Like, they needed guys that fit more of the roles that they need to fill out, versus going out and getting the names just to get this for the sake of the names. Why is it that this organization continues to have an obsession? I know why, because they want jersey sales, they want ticket sales. Elias Lindholm, though, is not even going to do that. Like, I'm sorry, Elias Lindholm's a sizable name, but I don't think he's sizable to the point where people are going to be like, yeah, I want to go to the Garden to watch Elias Lindholm play. He doesn't have that magnitude like Kane did last year, or like Tarasenko did last year. That's just my opinion, but again, I don't know. I'm disappointed to hear this, honestly, and I know people are going to say, stop being negative, and people are going to say, stop complaining, you're never satisfied, but I would be satisfied if they just went out and got guys that actually made sense for this team, like a Jordan Eberle. Like again, I'm against Adam Henrique, but I'd rather them give up less assets to go get Adam Henrique versus overpay and get Elias Lindholm. It just makes more sense to go about your business that route. It just does, but especially with the way the team's been playing, but I don't know. I'm just so, again, I continue to be aggravated, and I'm just beyond annoyed. But let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let me know how much you disagree with me, or if you agree with me, let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys. Don't forget to leave a like if you have not already. We're on the road to 2K subs. Again, the full article link will be linked in the description if you want to go check that out there. I appreciate all of you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.